An 11-year-old Houston area girl was pulled over for speeding, told police that her mother allows her to drive, but that this was the first time without an adult. Police in Pasadena say the girl told them she was driving her 10-year-old brother home after they stopped her for driving 49 miles per hour in a 35 miles per hour zone. The 25-year-old mother, Maria De Jesus Lopez, apologies if I pronounced that wrong, has been charged with 2 counts of child endangerment and is free on $3,000 bond following a Monday court appearance. Police spokesman Vance Mitchell says the girl told officers it wasn't the first time her mother allowed her to drive, but this was the only time alone with her brother. Now look, I'm not a parent, and I don't intend on ever being a parent. Ever. But even a dumb fuck like me knows that it is a horrible, horrible idea to let your 11-year-old daughter drive a car by themselves and even have your 10-year-old son in the car with them. What the fuck was going through this woman's mind, letting her 11-year-old daughter drive a car by herself? Now look, I understand if the kid is like 15 or maybe even 14 and they have an interest in driving and they want to see how it's like to drive, maybe put them in a parking lot, sit in the passenger seat with them and teach them how to drive a little bit, but never, never let them drive by themselves alone, especially in a street. And especially if they're 11 fucking years old. 11-year-olds are not mature enough to handle the road, and they can't make good judgment by themselves, hence why they live with their parents until they're fucking 18. Because again, they're not mature enough to handle life, they're not mature enough to handle something like the road, and this is why we have an age restriction when it comes to something like driving. Children are simply not mentally prepared to handle something like driving. And honestly, I think the elderly should be kicked off the road too. I don't think they should be driving either, but that's a topic for a different video. But even I don't want to drive yet, and I'm 16. I could easily go to driving school right now and learn how to drive, but I choose not to because I don't think I'm mentally prepared for it. I am terrified of driving. I'm terrified of the thought that I could get into a car crash or maybe hit someone else's car by accident and potentially get into a lawsuit. I worry about shit like that. And again, thanks to how I am, I don't think I'm fit to drive yet. So whenever, if the time ever comes, whenever I feel that I am mentally prepared to drive, I'll go and practice driving. But right now, I am not. I don't have any interest in driving. And I'm not going to potentially put others on the road in danger, because when I'm in a state of panic, I tend to not think rationally. I start to not pay attention to what's going on around me, and I know if that happens while I'm driving, an accident could happen, or who knows what could happen. So that's why I'm not putting myself on the road until I think I am mentally ready to handle it. Anyways, let's go back to the mother. I hope you lose both of your fucking kids because you honestly don't deserve them. You are a danger to your kids and their safety for letting your 11-year-old daughter drive with their 10-year-old son in the car. They could have potentially been in an accident and you could have possibly lost both of them. And it would have been all of your fault because your dumb ass said, "Oh, it's okay for you to drive the car, even though you're 11 and underage. Yeah, it's still fine for you to drive the car, even though you're not mentally prepared for it." But anyways, I know she might say, "Oh, but she knew what she was doing. She was a good driver. I trusted her. She was fucking speeding." Like I said, your kids could have been in a horrible accident and they could have possibly died, or maybe they could have also possibly killed someone else on the road, and it would have been all on you because you were stupid enough to let your 11-year-old drive by herself. She shouldn't have even been driving anyway, even with your supervision. But I already got into why she shouldn't even be driving in the first place. But anyways, I also want to talk about this. The mother is 25 years old, and she has an 11-year-old. So that means when that daughter was born, she was fucking 14 years old, and the other kid, which is her son, is 10 years old. So she would have had the boy at 15. So already this woman doesn't sound so bright, right? I mean, it's not uncommon when you hear about these young parents who had their kids as teenagers do stupid ass shit with their kids and to prove that teenagers are not fit to raise kids. And it makes me start to wonder, maybe there should be an age limit on parenting too. Because teenagers are not mentally prepared to have kids. And they're probably not financially able to raise them either because they probably don't have jobs yet unless, they're in a rich family and they are able to financially support the kid. But a lot of the times these teen parents, they aren't in rich families. They're usually broke and they don't have any money and they can't afford basic shit like baby food or diapers and shit like that because they don't have the money. And teenagers can't get good jobs either. They could only really get retail jobs or jobs at McDonald's, and that's really about it. So maybe, just maybe, these teenagers' kids should be taken away from them and given to a family that can support the kid, both mentally and financially. I mean, is that really such a bad thing? But I'm not going to get into all that in this video. Maybe another video I'll get into all that, who knows, but for now, I'll just leave it at that. And also, I like that this article doesn't mention a father at all, so I assume this is a single mother, which, yeah, it's also unfortunately not uncommon, where these teenage fathers run out and abandon their kids and never fucking see them. This is another reason as to why kids should not be raised by teens, but whatever. Again, I'm not going to go into all that in this video. So for now, that's all I have to say. Bye-bye.